Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bourbon Obsessed New Bourbon Releases News Podcast, your commercial-free, and therefore money-free, bourbon podcast for Monday, August 18th. I am Ed from bourbonobsessed.com, also known on Instagram as bourbon_obsessed. I publish bi-weekly newsletters featuring the latest bourbon news and releases, and also do this podcast version for your listening pleasure. My usual co-host and bourbon aficionado and friend, Dean Langdon, will again be joining me to discuss the latest new bourbon releases. Dean, how are you doing?
Doing wonderfully, Ed. Good to see you again, as always. It's been like 2 whole days now, so I've been elevated to friend, so I'm all for that.
It's always said friend.
I know.
I think I lost it in this last week's rendition.
Bourbon friendships are the best friendships, are they not?
They are.
They're the best kind. So we got some new stuff coming out this week. Looking forward to talking with that. But you've probably done some exciting stuff this week that we haven't had a chance to talk about. What kind of things were those?
Well, I went to a bourbon tasting at a friend's house on Friday, and that was an interesting one. We tried a whole bunch of single barrels.
Well, good. Were any of them any good?
I don't know. My friend has questionable taste, so... No, of course they were good.
Yeah.
Had a delicious dinner prepared by... And for those of you that haven't picked up on this, we did
this together. So we have a circulating tasting panel, and it's panel is too strong a word. It's friends who like to talk about bourbon, and it's great to have 6-8 people and see what different flavors they get on the nose, on the palate, and who somebody like number 2 best, and everybody else will hate it, so you just never know.
Yeah, well, we always taste everything blind, so nobody knows what they're actually tasting, which is really the true test of determining if you like something or not, because you remove all the bias.
That's right. I'm convinced that on pretty much any blind tasting, Wild Turkey 101 is going to come out on top.
Well, it's obviously going to appear in one soon.
Right. Yeah.
So that was Friday. So since I've last seen you, so I went to the Watch Hill Proper American Whiskey Festival yesterday, which was a lot of fun. There were a lot of lot of brands there, and many that I hadn't actually tried before. So
great.
Yeah. It was very good.
Think of an example. What was something you tried you hadn't experienced before?
Put me on the spot.
I know, right?
One brand that I hadn't heard of, now that I think about it, I think maybe I did, but I didn't know anything about them, was Burnt Church from South Carolina. So that was a new one for me.
Yeah.
They make all their own whiskeys, and I liked
neat.
what I tried.
I have not heard of them.
So another one for the list. But yeah, I mean, there's, we talk about, every magazine nowadays is writing how bourbon is completely collapsing, and, they don't have the correct perspective, and they're all just going for the clickbait articles and saying what the company line is, but we all know that there is just really an adjustment that's going on, and there was clearly overproduction, and there were a lot of people jumping on, but there's still plenty of new brands that seem to be appearing, and plenty of fantastic whiskey out there. So like everything else, it's going to reach its equilibrium.
It will. There's a lot of aging bourbon out there that's there has been a lot of production. And it makes sense that we're seeing that draw back some, but still new releases every other week, right? They ebb and flow, but they've always ebbed and flowed. So.
Right, just because too much bourbon's been made does not mean the bourbon bubble. What's a bubble? I mean, it's people did not necessarily. They jumped in way too strong. Especially a lot of entrepreneurs that weren't really bourbon people and things like that, and. It's really just reaching its natural conclusion.
I think that's right. It's one thing to be a bourbon aficionado. It's something else to be a business person and have the chops to run a business in a distillery and all the things that go with that. So,
and we're clearly not businessmen, since we have a commercial-free podcast that is just costing money and not making it. So that'd be the opposite of good business. But maybe someday.
We are aficionados extraordinaire. So.
All right.
We spend our money on bourbon, not on distilleries, okay?
And let's jump right in.
Let's do it. What's up first?
So, Barmen 1873 bourbon, a 92 proof blend of hand-selected straight bourbons from Woodford Whiskey Co. Company, is releasing a limited edition Lainey Wilson Whirlwind World Tour commemorative bottle to celebrate the U.S. leg of Wilson's 2025 tour. This collectible features a bold design inspired by the Grammy winner's style with individually numbered bottles, a 2025 tour belly band, Laney branded tack strip, and a Whirlwind World Tour emblem. They clearly didn't think about how easy this would be to pronounce when they came up with this.
That's right.
Only 1,000 cases will be available in select markets along the tour route, including Nashville, Dallas, Denver, Chicago, and Tampa, as part of an ongoing multi-year partnership between Barmen 1873 and Laney Wilson. This part I thought was interesting. So the price wasn't provided, and although it says it's available along the tour route, where I found the price was on sealbox.com, who's apparently going to be selling it. So don't necessarily have to go to Laney's shows apparently to pick one up. But
well, I was going to say the collectability, the celebrity endorsement, and all those things, but collectability now gets knocked down a notch. If you can buy it at Sealbox, it doesn't mean it's not collectible, but another way to get it, no matter where you are, you have to go see the tour. And these are supposed to be some synergy, right? Like the bourbon lovers should go see Laney sing, and Laney's fans should come buy bourbon. And so if you can buy it at Sealbox, you're cutting out a little bit of that. But
yeah, I mean, and they've done things with Laney before. If I recall, there was a pop-up bar kind of thing that they did in Nashville. I don't know if that was last year or earlier this year. And a number of things. So this is, as it said, a multi-year partnership.
I mean, she's very popular, and she will undoubtedly drive sales. But I couldn't see anything about the bourbon itself. I didn't dig very deep, but distiller proof, mash bill, any of that stuff, it was not apparent to me.
I think it's just the bottle that's a limited edition. I think it's the regular Barmen bourbon. So I didn't think there was anything that made it particularly special.
Yeah.
But, all right, so moving onward, Heaven Hill Distillery has announced the 19th edition of the Parker's Heritage Collection, a Kentucky straight American whiskey crafted from a blend of 3 mash bills: 15-year-old wheated bourbon, 11-year-old corn whiskey, and 12-year-old whiskey made from rye and malt. Bottled at cask strength, 122.5 proof, and non-chill filtered, the 160-barrel release will be available in limited quantities beginning September 2025 for $179.99. A portion of proceeds will once again be donated to ALS research and patient care in memory of late master distiller Parker Beam, continuing a tradition that has raised over $1.4 million since 2013.
That's an interesting blend of the products going into that are really interesting, and it shows some of the willingness of Heaven Hill to experiment. I didn't know they had a corn whiskey, although I'm not surprised by that. I don't know that I've ever seen.
Well, of course, they have a corn whiskey, the mellow
corn. Yeah, there you go. So, but rye and malt, I don't know that I've ever seen a whiskey that is just based on rye and malt. I've seen rye and malted rye. I guess, maybe some of the 95.5s are rye.
Yeah,
and malt,
I mean, there's some high rye, high malt rye. It's not all that common. But, Heaven Hill has always been producing all the different types of whiskey. So looking at the ages on these, as you'd expect, I mean, these whiskeys have been getting older. And, Parker's is always some sort of an interesting, it's not just a run-of-the-mill bourbon release. That's not what it's used for. It's always something that's got some unique characteristics to it. So it being a blend like this would certainly not be surprising.
You probably know historically 160 barrels. Do you think that's about average? I mean, that's not a whole amount for national distribution, but it might make it easier to find one.
Well, I think it's always hard to tell, but things that are straight bourbon tend to be much harder to find as they start becoming other types of whiskey. They tend to be a little less desirable.
Yeah.
So I suspect this won't be super impossible to get just because people get a little less excited when they are the blends like this.
Yeah. So, but we know it's going to be good because they wouldn't be putting it out if it wasn't. So
yeah. Well, hopefully, we should get to try it.
Awesome. So,
All right, so moving on. The World Whiskey Society is honoring Doc Holliday's 174th birthday on August 14 with the debut of its first ever cast finish bourbons. 4 limited edition expressions are being released. Doc Holliday 8-year bourbon, Oloroso sherry finish. Doc Holliday 13-year bourbon, Oloroso sherry finish. Doc Holliday 8-year bourbon, Armagnac finish, and the 13-year bourbon version of that as well. Crafted in Kentucky, each whiskey combines traditional aging with innovative finishing in fortified wine and brandy casks, creating unique flavor profiles. That sounds a little like marketing, but it is true.
It is true, sure. Yeah.
And they didn't provide the prices and proofs, which World Whiskey Society comes out with a lot. We've talked about
they do
like a lot, but they often don't provide very much information about the whiskeys.
Right, and I mean
here we don't even have the proof and the price.
Doc Holliday is a Missouri distillery, is it not?
No, that's Holliday.
That's okay.
Yeah, Ben Holliday.
You're right. Doc Holliday is something. So I had to show my lack of knowledge there on tape and on the podcast. So.
Yeah, there's similar names. They're spelled differently too.
Right. Okay. I think I looked this up on the website, and I think these are somewhat reasonably priced. Maybe like $99 and $129.
Oh, do they have a price now?
I could be wrong about that.
I put the newsletter together. They didn't have the price yet.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find it while we're.
They just said they were coming soon.
But yeah, I think it is priced out.
Huh.
So,
okay.
And it's interesting. I mean, it'd be fun from a tasting perspective again to do the 8-year next to the 13-year. They're both the same finish, right?
But we don't know they're the same. Anything else? That's the thing.
Right.
They only gave the
true.
mash bill for one of these, and so we don't know that that's the same mash bill for all of them. If they've all got the same base, if they did, that would be a very interesting side by side comparison.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I'm not finding those prices, but I think that's my recollection. So they weren't, very very expensive overall compared to some of the things we see from their whiskey. So. What about the finishes? What do you think about their choice? If this is the first time they've done that,
well, the sherry's fairly classic finish. Armagnac. I mean, we see that in cigar blends and a few other things, not nearly as much. I don't know. I mean, they're both. We've talked about the preferences and finishes in the past, and I mean, both of those are going to be fairly sweet. Well, I mean, I guess behind you is one of the Bardstown. They've done Armagnac finish that went very well with bourbon. Sherry, is sweeter too. It can go well with bourbon. I mean, I still think ryes generally finish better with anything sweet.
Yeah.
But
I think it's a pretty safe choice. The Armagnac less so than the sherry, but it's still, there's enough of it that's been out there. People have been exposed to those finishes.
Yeah.
And so, there's people doing some rather unique finishes and not sure the marketability of those. These should be fine from that perspective.
Yeah. I mean, Bardstown's, the Chateau Labaud was very well received, especially the first release of it.
Yeah.
The second was good too. Maybe there was more of it. I don't know. But the first one was the one that was very much seemed to get all the accolades and demand.
Again, to your earlier point, no information here about is it Pedro Jimenez sherry? Is it Labaud Armagnac? We don't get any real information about.
No, or if it's a high rye.
Yeah.
Bourbons.
Right. Yeah.
So it's hard to draw conclusions, or
it's hard for us to geek out about it because we don't know enough.
Right. Which I wish they would provide more information. I'm not sure why. Yeah, we've talked about that before. I mean, a lot of times they have ornate bottles and packaging and decanters and things like that, and it seems like their focus is often on that.
Right.
This one, it sounds like the focus is more on the whiskey and the finishing, but we don't have the details. I don't know. Maybe when the price appears and we start seeing it a little more, there'll be a little more information about it.
Yeah, we would hope so.
All right, moving on to Utah. So, High West Bottled and Bond Bourbon is a straight bourbon whiskey crafted in-house at High West Distillery in Wanship, Utah. Produced in accordance with the Bottled and Bond Act of 1897, This whiskey is made from a single distilling season by one distiller at one distillery and aged a minimum of 4 years in a federally bonded warehouse. So basic bottled and bond rules. It is bottled at 100 proof, which it has to be, and showcases a high rye mash bill of 64% non-GMO yellow corn and 36% rye, which was crafted for a bold flavor, which, sounds like it should be.
Right.
And its suggested retail price is $79.99.
If I'm not mistaken, this is the first bottled and bond High West has had that they've actually made.
Well, they came out with a rye recently. This is going to be the first bourbon.
Okay. Yeah. And interesting that there's not any barley at all in the mash bill. I mean, most distillers feel like they've got to put some barley in there to help the yeast convert alcohol more efficiently, right? And so it's interesting to see they didn't use any barley in this. So we'll see, if that really has an impact on taste or not.
Well, it's not to help to convert. It's for the starch conversion in the mash. Is what you need the enzymes in the malted barley from. But nowadays a lot of people use enzymes. Just it's more efficient. It's more predictable. Right. So unless anything's malted in this, and I doubt there's any malted corn. I mean, I suppose there could be malted rye, but you would think they would say it. So without saying that, it's got to have the enzymes. But
High West is pretty transparent about their things. So although they don't always tell you where things are from, but that's nice. I'm glad they've got a bottled and non-bourbon now. They've been doing their own stuff now. They've got to be building some stocks, and they've got a reputation, so they should be fine. Yeah, no, I'd
be interested in trying that. They've been selling them. They sell them online. You don't have to go there.
Right. Which is good because not everybody can get to Utah. So.
No, it's not super. Well, it's not that hard to fly to Salt Lake, but then you have to get to. I don't know exactly where Wanship is.
I don't either. But something tells me it may not be right next door to Salt Lake.
No. All right, going to the other side of the country, the A. Smith Bowman Distillery has announced the release of Abraham Bowman Oak Series Hungarian Oak, the third and final expression in its experimental oak series, of which we've tried none of them. This limited edition bourbon is a blend of whiskeys aged for 12 years in charred Hungarian oak barrels, bottled at 115 proof. Each 750 milliliter bottle will be available for $79.99 via an online lottery. The lottery to purchase begins August 11th, so it just began. Mm-hmm. And people have to hurry because it ends August 18th, so that's the day the podcast comes out. But if you subscribe to my newsletter, you would have had a 3-day jump on that.
Yes.
Designed to explore cask maturation in different oak varietals from around the world, as well as the effect charring has on the flavor of whiskey, the Abraham Bowman Oak Series first launched in March 2024 with the release of French Oak, and then continued in November 2024 with the release of American Oak. And I've always been impressed by the age on these and the price on these for something that's, in interesting barrels.
Yeah, I think it's a neat idea. When you have all three of them, you can sit there, compare how different, styles of oak, sources of oak, affect the taste of the bourbon. I assume it's
when
the
you
same.
have all three of them, let me know, and we'll come over since we've yet to be able to try one of them.
If I recall, you've got to go to the distillery to get these.
If you win the lottery.
If you win the lottery, yeah. Well, there you go. Right. So, yeah, we're probably not going to be able to do that, Ed. I'm just saying.
No. Well, we missed the first two, so that's long gone, and we don't have those. And
yeah. So fans, if you've got some of these and you want to see us do a taste comparison, you have to send some to us so we can do that, okay?
And you can join us. We can do an online tasting of them.
Yeah, love to have you. So
yes. But yeah, I like the idea, and I've been impressed by the age. I think they've all been in that 12-year category.
And
they've all been this $80. I mean, that's pretty cheap
for the age
whiskey
that age.
At 115 proof. I mean, it's a fantastic deal, really. Even by today's prices decreasing for a limited edition.
Yeah, that reminds me of, I think Jefferson's did a wood finishing series a while ago, 5, 6, maybe even 7 years ago. And they were in, I want to say, 100 ml bottles.
They sold that packet.
Yeah, this little packet of them.
Yeah.
And, they're experimenting with different woods. But this is different. Those weren't 12-year-old whiskeys. And I think they probably perhaps overdid it compared to what Bowman's doing here, And 3 is a nice number. It's a great way to be able to compare those and didn't get too far over their skis, right?
No, well, I mean, it's sort of along the same lines as Buffalo Trace's Single Oak project and some of the old charter oaks,
right?
Because all of those were finished in different woods. So Buffalo Trace, for those that don't know, I mean, they're both owned by Sazerac, and the Bowman bourbon is initially distilled at Buffalo Trace and then redistilled at the A. Smith Bowman distillery. So they're closely related. And then, I mean, now they're doing a similar thing with wood. But, I mean, nonetheless, it's cool.
Yeah, so an interesting project.
Yeah.
And we're glad that they're out there and give us some feedback, those of you who win the lottery.
Could be us, but we'll see. All right. So we're a little closer to home here. So New Riff Red Turkey Wheat Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey returns for a wider release following its debut in 2021. Made with a mash bill of 70% corn, 25% red turkey wheat, and 5% malted barley, this bourbon showcases a softer, sweeter profile than New Riff's typical high rye expressions. Bottled in bond, aged at least 5 years and 100 proof, it highlights the distillery's continued exploration of heirloom grains. Red Turkey Wheat was, well, again, this would have been, for my newsletter, it would have been the day it came out, but it became available at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday, August 15th. But I assume it's probably still not available online. I don't think this sells out in 2 seconds.
Yeah, and I think part of the point there is the first batch a couple years ago may have sold out pretty quickly, but it was probably a more limited batch that they were trying to see how it worked, how it went. And although they had to have this laid back because this is now 5 years old, at least 5 years old. So, I know I was able to snag a couple bottles, but I was there right when they started going on sale. So I don't know if they've sold out or not, but hopefully they produce more and it's more readily available. And it's different from what they do. They're just known for their rye-based bourbons, right, as well as their ryes, but they're a high rye producer, and for them to experiment with this is really interesting.
Well, I mean, they've had a huge variety of releases over time. I mean, from single malts, which were blends of many different malts, and all sorts of the peated
finishes,
and
backsetter,
and,
right?
Yeah, I mean,
New
Riff has done a lot of things that are not their main
line.
That's true.
This
is also supposed to be available at retailers across the country, which is definitely different than the other one.
Yes.
And its MSRP is $59.99.
Again, that New Riff price point, so that's a good deal.
Yeah.
We toured New Riff last weekend, and this was not on the tasting table, but they brought a bottle out at the end and before it was released, and so. Unfortunately, because it was at the end of the tasting series, my memory of it is not all that crystal clear. But it was good. I do remember it being good. It didn't, it was, of course, more of a wheater, right? Because it's red turkey wheat. So
25%.
Looking forward to getting my bottles and trying it again to see just how good it is.
I'm looking forward to trying your bottles, too.
What's mine is yours. Up to a point.
All right, the next is Jack Daniel's Distillery has introduced Tennessee Blackberry, the newest flavor in its popular lineup. Offered at 70 proof, 35% ABV, this release blends the distillery's classic Old No. 7 Tennessee whiskey, crafted from a mash bill of 80% corn, 12% malted barley, and 8% rye, charcoal mellowed, and aged in new American oak with a fresh blackberry flavor infusion. The result is a sweet and tangy spirit that complements Jack Daniel's bold character, perfect for sipping neat, over ice, or in cocktails. Tennessee Blackberry joins the brand's Tennessee Honey, Tennessee Fire, and Tennessee Apple expressions, and is now available nationwide in 750 milliliter bottles for a suggested retail price of $21.99. And we are tasting that now.
We're sampling it over ice, which is a little different for us, right?
But, well, the whole thing's a little different for us because we were talking, and I don't think I've ever had a fruit whiskey. And honestly, the only reason, Well, we're featuring it because if you'll remember last week when we talked about the bourbon and distillery news, how Crown's blackberry whiskey was being a fantastic seller for the company. So Jack Daniel's came out with this one. Coincidence? Perhaps.
It had been aging for a year. It was just time for it to come out, right? So, yeah.
So I was sort of interested to know what it actually tasted like.
And it tastes like blackberries, folks. I'm sure that's probably not surprising. I'm just looking to see if there is an age statement, and I do not expect to see an age statement. But it's 70 proof, so it is. To me, it's got a very blackberry taste. It's with the ice. I don't find it overly sweet, but it certainly has sweetness to it.
I mean, for me, my first sip before the ice cubes didn't melt, I wasn't loving the flavors. Yeah. But now that it's become diluted, it's not bad. It
may not be a neat sipper, folks, but in the right cocktail, I'm sure it would be really interesting.
I don't know how people drink these things, but it would seem to me that most people would drink this either over ice or mixed with something.
Right.
I don't think people are drinking the fruit things neat. I mean, maybe as a shot or something, but
my image of the individual who asks for a shot of Jack at the bar and pounds it down is not going to ask for a shot of Jack Blackberry and do the same thing. But expand the market, right? I mean, there's somebody clearly if Crown Blackberry is selling buku, this will undoubtedly sell pretty well too. And
well, remember the peach one? I mean, that one you couldn't even buy. But I forgot what people were doing. I mean, they were mixing it with something, like a soda of some sort. I think.
I think that's right.
So people probably mix these, I guess. But yeah, it's not sure we're going to be fruit bourbon obsessed, but
yeah. Yeah, I was thinking that I shouldn't say this, but it probably might work at a kids' party. But of course, you can't use it. You can't use it at a kids' party, folks.
And remember, Dean is an attorney.
Just do not make popsicles out of this. It's a bad idea. So
that's Langdon, Langdon.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that your kids are grown.
My insurance is not paid up, and I have no assets. So good luck, folks.
And he's a bankruptcy attorney, so
there you have it.
He's well prepared for the repercussions. All right, moving on. So I haven't seen the press release for this one, but we know it exists. The Old Fitzgerald Bottled and Bond 11-year-old VVS, the 2025 release. A few media outlets have reported on it, so I don't know if this is another one where they only sent some worthy few the press releases. But bottles were released at the Heaven Hill Bourbon Experience a week ago now, so it's obviously here.
Yes.
But I'd like to see something official about it. But what we do know, it's the second Old Fitzgerald release of 2025, and it's another maroon label, which is what the VVSs are. And the VVS, for those who don't know, stands for very, very special. And the Old Fitzgerald decanters were supposed to have spring and fall releases, and those have green and black labels. But occasionally they have a third one during the year, and that's the VVS, and that's going to be the maroon label. And last year it was the 13-year-old, which got all sorts of acclaim.
Yeah.
So it's being followed by this one. So this is the fourth release in the VVS series, with the most recent being the 13-year-old from last year, which received much acclaim. Oh, look, I even wrote that in my little summary.
I wonder who wrote that.
I don't know. While that one had been distilled in 1999 and vatted for later bottling, this one is a more recent rendition, being distilled in April of 2014. Like all recent Old Fitz decanter bourbons, it's made from a mash bill of 68% corn, 20% wheat, and 12% malted barley, and is bottled in bond and therefore 100 proof. The price is reported to be $169.99 for a 750 milliliter bottle. Like all prior VVS releases, it should be available only at the Heaven Hill Bourbon Experience, although you never know with Heaven Hill, and it could wind up elsewhere. And last year it was at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, where they sold quite a bit of it. So this year that may happen again as well.
Well, I hope so. So I'm looking forward to the Bourbon Festival coming up, and it's always great to just be surprised by what kind of bottles you can find there. I mean, every distiller has several bottles available, and Heaven Hill has their wonderful own little sort of shop, if you will, right, sort of in a corner, and the line out at the Heaven Hill is usually lengthy, especially first thing in the day. So.
And they have been moved this year because of that line. So now they're going to be out in that big parking lot area where the great tent is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think Bardstown Bourbon Company may be with them, which also had a big line.
Shaking it up, yeah.
And, it's these lines caused lots of logistic problems with everybody else trying to enjoy the festival. I mean, you had to navigate around them. So it was pretty disruptive. So we'll see how that works this year.
I'm glad I'm not handling the logistics for the Bourbon Festival because it's an amazing event, but boy, is it busy and there's a lot to cover. So
there's quite a bit that they need to arrange when they're trying to find where distilleries should go. And part of it does have to do with anybody that has games, anybody that has any other things, the people that cause crowds to form.
Right.
I mean, it creates bottleneck areas, so you have to put them in places where, because people are still going to go. There's no out of the way. Like if you, people are going to go to Heaven Hill if you put them like 5 blocks away.
Right.
It really, it literally makes no difference to how many people are going to go there. And so you just need to make it so it doesn't disrupt other things.
Yeah. There really is an art to that. I've been at the Woodland Art Fair, my T-shirt today, and it's an annual art fair here in Lexington with like 200 artists, but 70,000 people visit that in a local park over 2 days, and the logistics of arranging that, and between artists, food vendors, they do an amazing job.
Wow.
The flow is still somewhat bottlenecked, but there's only so much you can do with 70,000 folks. So
I had no idea that many people went to that.
It does, yeah. So shout out for next year. It's over by now, but next year, middle of August, it's always great. It's wonderfully warm.
Yes, wonderful. Right. Moving onward. So Garrison Brothers Distillery, where it's also warm, will release its rarest expression, the 2025 Laguna Madre Texas Straight Bourbon Whiskey, on September 6, 2025 at its High Texas Distillery. Limited to just 3,000 bottles, Laguna Madre is aged 8 years, 4 in American white oak, and 4 in rare French Limousin oak casks, which are made from trees over 120 years old. Part of the proceeds benefits Flatsworthy, a nonprofit promoting coastal conservation and respectful angling. Each bottle comes in a custom wooden display case with a Texas Gulf Coast photo. It's bottled at 101 proof, and its suggested retail price is $349.99. Have you had?
I've not had this one. No, I mean I know you've turned me on to Garrison Brothers, and they're good producers. So did that have an age statement?
Yeah,
on
8, which is pretty old for Texas.
It is. Yeah. Well, and it's a pretty unique price point too. That's there's a limited market for things above $300, but
yeah, I mean,
I know I've had French oak aged and sometimes French oak finished, but this is 50-50, so that's an interesting concept that, spent half the time in American oak and half the time in French oak. Be interesting to see what that does to it.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be trying it anytime soon.
No,
but
well, as soon as you get the sample in, we'll try it. So.
I don't think I've got one of these coming, unfortunately. But yeah, I would like to try it. It's it's going to have a ton of flavor being 8 years old from being down
Texas.
there, and then throwing in those other wood casks because you're going to get that spicier French oak characteristic to it.
I'm sort of surprised you don't have a road trip planned to go down there and grab a bottle, Ed. So.
Well, I'll be down. We do visit my mother-in-law.
Right,
so,
right, see.
But no, I'm not going to be at the release.
Yeah.
Because when is that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So September 6th, that's the Saturday of KBF. That's
Festival,
pretty
not going to happen.
Unlikely I'll be in Texas.
Yeah.
All right. So the Old Louisville Whiskey Company is about to release their Kentucky Series bourbon. Its age stated at 8 years old. This current release is 8.5 years old and bottled at 100 proof and will have an SRP of $59.99. It's made from a mash bill of 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% malted barley. but it's not from the large heritage distillery that's known for that mash bill, whose initials are HH. Rather, this bourbon was one of the early distillates from the Bardstown Bourbon Company. It was barreled at 120 proof and aged in char 3 barrels. Each bottle in the series will have one of the following letters on the label, the letters that are in the word Kentucky, and true fans will collect them all. The release date is September 1, and bottles will also be available for sampling and purchase at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. So we'll get to try it there. Well, actually, we had it on the...
We did, yeah.
So get to try it here, too.
Well, but at the Bourbon Festival, perhaps I could collect the whole set, right, and get all 8 bottles.
You can collect the whole set. I only have the U.
Right. So what's it going to cost me to get the whole set? Something tells me that it's not really in my price bucket.
Well, no, it's... how many letters are in Kentucky? 8, yeah. So $59.99, so $60
$500. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, $500 with tax. That's not outrageous.
No, I mean not for the Bourbon Festival.
Right.
You'll spend that in your first 20 minutes. I forgot what the average person. People spend a lot on bottles.
A lot of money at the Bourbon Festival, right?
Yeah. Because there'll be all the single barrels to buy, there'll be the limited releases, and then there'll just be everything else that many people can't get, especially from some of the smaller distilleries.
Yeah.
So people buy an awful lot there.
Well, and I don't know how long they've been offering lockers for folks to put stuff in, but great idea, because there's only so much you can carry,
right?
And you don't want to carry it, and so it's well worth it to get a locker, be able to set stuff in there, take it with you at the end of the day.
But very difficult to get a locker, because
I was going to say I've never had one.
Enough for a fraction of the people that are there. There's some in the VIP area. There's I think all the people that are in the President's Club. They better be getting a locker.
One.
Yeah. And then otherwise, I think there's some other banks of them around for. They were right by the back entrance by the great tent last year. There was another tent of them. But they're also, I don't know if this happened or not, or how it's going to work, but there was talk of having some sort of a company that was somehow able to ship bottles, so you could just sort of digitally order at the distilleries and have them shipped. I'm not sure if the logistics of that, I think, are fairly complicated, and I don't even know the legality of how that entire thing works and if everybody would be eligible to do it. But if doing something like that would make it, well, people would spend way more because they wouldn't have to carry anything around.
Right.
I mean, you just go through and order and
it shows up at your doorstep a week later, right? Yeah, how awesome. And so on a pallet. So
yeah, well, depends how much you order.
Right.
And that 18-wheeler pulls up out front.
I'll see more of a U-Haul truck, but whatever. You do you. Okay.
And when your wife puts you and your whiskey on the front lawn.
So let's go back to old Louisville whiskey for a second. Do you think this is a Bardstown bourbon produced juice?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I assume
no, it is. It's one of their early Bardstown.
Yeah. Okay.
Because when Bardstown produced initially, I think their first 6 months or so, the majority of it was for their contract people that they already contracted with. So, so this was one, and I think this was purchased. I don't actually know when Old Louisville started, but I think he purchased it as a new make.
Okay.
Back then.
Oh, good for him. Yeah.
So, yeah. But again, good. Look at the price point though. 8.5-year-old at $59.99. I mean, that's very
hard
good price
that.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So, all right, and then our last one is Woodford Reserve has unveiled its newest distillery series release, 12-year-old American single malt whiskey. Crafted from 100% malted barley, this unique expression was triple pot distilled and aged for 12 years in used whiskey barrels, intentionally held for this long-awaited release. Bottled at 90.4 proof, sounds familiar, the whiskey offers a complex profile with notes of sweet, nutty malt, soft caramel, warm spice, and subtle citrus. It became available starting August 14, 2025, for a suggested retail price of $99.95 for a 375 milliliter bottle. Distribution includes select Kentucky retailers, the Woodford Reserve Distillery, and Woodford's online store, although it doesn't ship to many places: Kentucky, North Dakota, Nebraska, New Hampshire, and D.C. So if you're in that
in those
unusual
locales.
collection
Yes.
of states, you could get it shipped to you.
Right.
To celebrate the release, 2 special events will be held on the Woodland Reserve. So you got Woodland in
Woodland
my,
Archer, Woodford
yes.
Reserve. Is there a link? I don't know.
Stop messing with my mind. Will be held at the Woodford Reserve Distillery on September 5th. So right in the middle of the Bourbon Festival on the Friday. There's a premium tasting with Elizabeth McCall, Master Distiller, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you can enjoy a 45-minute guided tasting with Master Distiller Elizabeth McCall, featuring the new release and other distillery series malts. And tickets are $175 and include a bottle. So that's actually pretty reasonable because Woodford tends to charge an awful lot for their Master Distiller events. Yeah. And then there's a bottle signing with Elizabeth McCall, from which I'm assuming is free, from 2 to 3:30 that day. But again, we will be in Bardstown at the Bourbon Festival.
Otherwise engaged. But.
And I suspect a lot of people will, but someone will go.
Well, the Bourbon Festival sold out, so not everybody's able to get tickets. Those that didn't, they can go to Woodford and tell us how this is. So that's a pretty high age statement for a single malt. You don't always even see age statements with single malt whiskey. So don't think I've seen one that's had a 12-year-old age statement before.
But not surprising, I guess, because they have their malt whiskey,
right.
And I'm trying to think now if there's been other malt whiskey in the distillery series.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't remember any, but that doesn't mean anything. So,
but so since they've been making it though for a long time, I mean, it's not surprising they've got a 12-year old.
Yeah.
And plus, it could have been made at the Brown-Forman distillery.
It could have been.
I mean,
but we know when it's 90.4 proof, we know where it's from. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Anything else?
That's an interesting price point for a $375, but they don't seem to have any problem selling their product, and so
well,
good for
I don't
them,
think that's necessarily true. I mean, they have really crept up these distillery series, and then the thing that caused them to take off was the double oak, which basically gave it like a cult following.
Right.
And based on the demand for that, they then started raising the price of all the other ones, many of which have not nearly had the level of interest.
Yeah.
So as a single malt for $100 for $375, it's going to sell out during the course of its time, because it's going to still be something people are going to pick up when they go to the distillery. But will be people flocking to it and standing in line like they did for the double oak? Yeah. I mean, now that's released as a $7.50 nationwide, so it's not even part of it anymore, which is also interesting.
Right.
Yeah. But so I don't know. I mean, I think in my mind, it always seemed like Woodford interpreted the demand for double oak for the demand for the whole distillery series, and that just hasn't been my experience.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I mean, I think you're right. I think this will sell through. They're not going to have a problem selling it, but it's not going to turn into you'll find this on the shelves like the double oak is available now, right? So I take that.
Well, and I'm sure. I mean, this came out August 14th, and that's only a few days ago, but nonetheless, I would still suspect it will be available for certainly through. I mean, we get a lot of visitors here in September and October, and especially for the KBF. But it's going to last. My prediction would be it will easily last through. I mean, I don't know if it'll make it through KBF week, but it's not like
it's not
you
sold
have
out
to
yet.
get there and stand in line.
Right. I doubt that it's sold through yet. Yeah. I agree. So.
Also a
bunch of new releases for an industry in a downturn. There seems to be plenty of product out there.
Oh yeah, and we're still on the cusp of when there will. I mean, unless this is the strangest September ever, there's going to be a whole bunch more. So we'll see.
Yep.
Alrighty. Well, I guess that about does it for this episode. I hope you have enjoyed this edition of the Bourbon Obsessed New Bourbon Releases News Podcast, your commercial-free and therefore money-free bourbon podcast. Please be sure to join us next Monday for our Bourbon and Distillery News podcast. We'll have some exciting news then. I'm sure we'll be talking a little more about Uncle Nearest and other interesting things.
There will be developments in the distillery world.
Also, be sure to like and follow us at your preferred podcast provider so that you don't miss an episode, and don't forget to tell all your friends, too. You can also head over to bourbonobsessed.com to check out some of our over 350 bourbon reviews and over 50 distillery write-ups. While you are there, you can also sign up to have my newsletters delivered directly to your inbox. Finally, I can be found on Instagram at bourbon_obsessed and on Facebook at bourbon obsessed. And would love for you to follow me there as well. Dean, where can they find you?
People find me on Instagram at Dean of Bourbon with underscores between those words. And I apologize I don't post very often, but I try to make it interesting when I do. So please follow and comment. If you comment, that gives me something to talk to you about. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Dean. Did you post about the Woodland Art?
I have not. No. I was too busy volunteering. So it's,
right.
I'm not. People know already. I'm not a good social media person, right? So you're escalating my fame multiple times. So.
That's why I'm here. All right. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time.